Hey everybody, this is Robert Sierra and Damien Gutierrez with the Money Coach Show. We're here to give you guys today's topic, negotiation tactics for both the seller and buyer. So, Damien, before we go into any further, how have you been, my friend? I know it's been, a couple of weeks since we've seen you, had a drink in the hand, feet in the sand, like we like to say.
No. It's been good, man. It's been good. Just busy working. There's been a
Yeah.
lot going on our side, you know that. So, but no, been good nonetheless though. No, I know I hadn't been able to make the last couple episodes, but today's gonna be a good episode. So tune in, pay attention, everybody. We got some really important negotiation tactics that we're going to go ahead and dive into. So, Robert, go ahead, take it away, man.
Thank you, Damien. And you know what? Yes, it's been a wild ride with the markets lately. And that's not what we were going to really discuss. As I mentioned, negotiation tactics for both the buyer and seller. Okay. So first of all, I'm gonna tackle the seller's selling tactic, okay? Because you know what? Most sellers, you guys want to get the most out of your home when you're selling it, and Damien brought up an article on the Wall Street Journal that we'll link down below about people lowering the value of their home when they're putting it up for sale. And it's across the board. You see it a lot lately. So instead of lowering that purchase price, tell your realtor, hey, I'm willing to give you seller concessions or give the buyer seller concessions. Now, if you go back to episode 22, I talk about a little bit more about seller concessions and what those have to offer for both the seller and the real estate agent as well as the buyer. So be sure to go check out that video because it has tons of information that you guys want to know. So you're able, and back to, keeping that sale price as high as you possibly can while making sure you can still make it advantageous to sell the home. Because we've seen that article, Damien. What was the cost that was saying that they were at? It was like 420,000.
They were saying they were starting listings on average at about 425,000, but properties that were actually moving and selling were actually in the range of 384,000. So quite a disparity, about
Yeah,
40,000.
$40,000 difference there. You know what? And honestly, a seller concession of 20,000, that's going to be extremely beneficial. It's like depending on what the buyer has available
Yeah,
for
that
her
that's
deposit.
huge. For I
Yeah.
mean, think about how much money the sellers are losing on their side if they're having to do a price reduction of $40,000 just to even move the property, just so they can take it off of their hands because and that's unfortunate for them because they're losing out on equity that they built up, and it's like, just to add to your point though, it would be great to get 20K of that in the form of a seller concession versus having to take it all on the chin and
Yeah.
lose all of it just to attract an interested party.
Oh yeah. And keep in mind, now the most you can give is 9% seller concession of the purchase price. So it's not like you're gonna, give away, the farm. It's a small percentage of what overall the house costs. So you're gonna be able to offer that, it's gonna be advantageous to the buyer if they have 15% to 20% down, they're going to be able to get possibly that 9% of seller concession. But let's be honest, most seller concessions you're going to be able to give, it's going to be 3 to 6%, depending on what that purchaser is going to be able to give you for a down payment or give the lender for a down payment. So that will allow you to keep the most bang for your buck to be able to say, hey, you know what? I'm sticking at that $425,000 because that's the medium household price for America right now. So you're able to hold ground there and not have to tread water in the sense of I'm losing money on this deal. Realtors, this should be advantageous to you too. Now, let's go to the buyer here. Now, the buyer, if you have that ability to say, hey, you know what? I have someone that's willing to give me seller concessions and they're devaluing their home down to $384,000. That was originally 425,000. My my advice to you is get approved for $425,000 because expect a bidding war. Just because you've had your eye on a house doesn't mean someone else doesn't have their eye on it too. Am I right, Damien?
And to speak to that, The article mentions in the Wall Street Journal the number of homes for sale is back above pre-pandemic inventory levels or very close, only in 10 states. Realtor.com, that's data per Realtor.com. Supply is especially high in Florida, Colorado, Texas, Utah. However, to speak to what you were saying, though, Robert, there are still bidding wars taking place and are very common all throughout parts of the Midwest and the Northeast because these are areas where housing is known to be chronically, there's always a chronicle, just there's always a shortage. There's always chronically a shortage of housing, especially in the Northeast and parts of the Midwest. So a bidding war, yeah, Robert, it is really common in that part in those parts of the United States.
Oh yeah, and you know what? We want to make sure here at Loan and Key that you have all the information armed, well at hand. I'm going to say this repeatedly till I'm blue in the face. You're going to hear every lender, every mortgage broker say, "I have the best rates." Guess what? We all get the same rates. It's like it's dependent on your credit score, your debt to income, and how much you have available for a down payment. And if you're wondering about your credit score, again, we have a couple videos, some of our earlier videos that will coach you how to better your credit. But if you want to get on the phone with us, our email information will be down below. You can reach me, you can reach Damien, you can reach Tara. We will be able to coach you on how to exactly pay down the debt as needed so it can
Yes.
reflect beneficially on your credit report. Because again, when if we do a hard credit pull on you, we're able to see your financial underwear in that sense.
Yeah.
We'll be able to point out, hey, you know what? This large ticket item, let's clear this out first. You know what? Do you really need to be paying on this? Let's clear that out. And I'm even going to say it now. You know what? If you have subscriptions to tons of TV apps, get rid of those. Those are unnecessary. It's like, come on, you can go on. There's no plug. You can go on Freevee and find most of these TV shows. I'm just being honest. As someone, as a mortgage professional, I look out for my best interest. Why am I not going to look out for your guys's? Because at the end of the day, you're going to want to go with somebody who you trust, and we want to be able to build that trust factor with you guys to be able to say, hey, you know what? Fellas at Lone and Key, they're looking out for my best interest, for my bottom line, not theirs. Because Damien, I don't know if you remember once we first started working together, what was that mantra? If I'm constantly looking out after my client's pocketbook,
We're gonna be just fine. We'll be taken care of. We
yeah,
don't have to worry if we take care of our clients.
exactly.
And just to get back to what Robert's saying, folks, controlling your spending, tightening up your belt when it comes to sacrifices so you can improve your credit. That's what matters. Everybody gets the same rates. What really matters is, like what Robert said, how much money you have for a deposit. What is your credit score? How much your income is. That is really going to be the determining factors of what you can qualify for out there. And remember what we always say, and we'll at Loan and Key, you marry the home, you don't marry the rate. For all you know, there could be several. It's a really volatile market right now in regards to interest rates. They were just talking about on Bloomberg last week, there could potentially be 5 rate cuts. Now, all of a sudden this morning, maybe it's down to 3. Nobody knows. It's all up in the air. So, like what we always tell you, you're not marrying the rate, marry the home. At Loan and Key, we
Yes.
want you to marry the home. And if you can get out there and buy, springtime is normally when 40% of most purchases take place in all the United States. So just throwing that out there. Anyways, I'll get off my soapbox, Robert.
No, that's a good soapbox to be on because, as I say in every episode, if you can afford now with the interest rate the way it is, get into the home, start building equity because at the end of the day, that equity is going to be huge for leveraging future deals, depending on if you're going to be refinancing to pay down student debt, debt consolidation, anything else like that.
529, what if you have kids? Kind of want to get college funding, kind of get a good early start.
Correct. Correct. And you know what? And I'm even gonna, Damien, I didn't talk about it before our prep call here, but I'm even gonna say, right around the corner is tax season. You know what?
Oh,
Most new home buyers or first time home buyers don't understand what an MCC tax credit is. You know what? And that is huge, huge, extremely huge for those that don't know what you can write off with the type of loan you have, especially if you have an FHA loan. You can write off a lot of that interest if you understand what an MCC tax credit is. A lot of people want to freak out and say, "Oh, I don't want to pay, mortgage insurance premium because I need to save up 25% down or 20% down."
Yeah, 20%.
You
Yeah.
know what? They put these loopholes in there so you can take advantage of them, but they don't tell you about them. We here at Loan and Key want to tell you about all the loopholes you can break through because at the end of the day, friends, we want to make sure you are financially healthy, financially comfortable, and be able to say, you know what? I wasn't sold my mortgage. I confidently bought my mortgage. So, I'll get off my high horse, Damien. Yeah, because again, at the end of the day, I'm working even, even before our call, I was working on a total cost analysis for one of our clients that gives you
Yeah.
your monthly breakdown. It gives you your short-term, break even point. I'm even going to be able to show them what their net worth is going to look like in 10 years just by paying their mortgage on time every month. And that's huge. A lot of people don't understand. Hey, when you pay your mortgage, you have skin in the game and what that looks like for you. So, you know what? Make that reach out to us. Send us an email down below. It's free to create a total cost analysis for you so you can actually have something in your hand or on your computer screen or on your phone that says, oh, that's what I'm going to be paying. Oh, that's what I should expect my closing costs to be. And if you're willing to get a seller concession from a seller, oh, that's how much they're going to be applying towards my closing costs. So my closing costs won't be as much. So real estate agents, buyers, I would even say sellers, reach out to us because we have great connections with realtors that want to help you sell your home. And we want to be able to help you unload that home to possibly use that fund to buy your dream home. That it's leveraging power, negotiation tactics. That's what today's call is all about. So, Damien, if you have any other advice,
No, no, man. I'm pumped. You got me excited, and I'm like, man, this is for the people. And I'm like, yeah, Robert, yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Anyways, no, it's important that we do cover these things for our audience, because they don't know, and this information it really isn't doled out to people out everyday people, and a lot of people, even other brokerages, don't even know some of this information that our brokerage at Loan and Key knows about. So by all means, no, really good topic today, Robert. Total good fire. Love it. Love the energy, like always. All I have is to add is just to add on that Wall Street Journal article really spoke a lot to what we were talking to today in terms of you don't have to give up so much if you are a seller. There are negotiation tactics, and on the reverse side for buyers too. You don't all have to give away the farm either. You can negotiate too. So with that said, Robert, I think this has been a very, very informative episode for our audience. And no, man, I'm pumped. I can't wait for next week.
sounds good. Sounds good. Well, you know what, everyone out there on YouTube, if you guys liked it or if you liked the video, like, subscribe, send it if you found value, send it somebody else if you think they need to know about this. And we want to make that connection. We want to build bridges here so we can be your mortgage professionals for life, not just a transactional, mortgage team,
Yeah.
because we will keep updates on you and make sure that you are comfortable with what you have, not just be like, we got our money, let's go, Damien. Because that's not what it's about. So with that being said, everyone take care. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, everybody.